Have you ever experienced something so terrifying in the woods that it made you question reality itself? Join me as I uncover the most chilling camping horror stories that will make you think twice about your next outdoor adventure. Story 1. Faces in the dark. Camping in the remote woods had always been a way for me to disconnect from the chaos of city life. The first night was uneventful, filled with the usual crackling of the campfire, ghost stories, and laughter. As the night wore on, I retreated into my tent, lulled by the soothing sounds of nature. Little did I know, this trip would take a dark turn. The first sign of trouble came around midnight. A faint scratching sound, barely audible at first, seemed to be coming from the outside of my tent. I brushed it off as branches rustling in the wind, or perhaps a small animal curious about our campsite. But as the minutes passed, the scratching grew louder and more insistent. I sat up, heart pounding, straining to listen. It wasn't just scratching now, it was a low, almost imperceptible murmur. My breath caught in my throat as I realized it sounded like voices. I unzipped my sleeping bag and moved closer to the tent's entrance, trying to discern the words. They were just out of reach, a sinister whispering chorus that sent shivers down my spine. I took a deep breath and slowly unzipped the tent flap, peering into the darkness. My flashlight beam cut through the night, revealing nothing but trees and shadows. I was about to close the flap when I saw them dozens of pale, human-like faces staring back at me from the darkness. Their eyes were wide and empty, their mouths moving in silent, synchronized whispers. Panic surged through me. I scrambled back, fumbling for my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial the number for my friends in the nearby tents. No one answered. The whispers grew louder, more urgent, as if they were calling to me, beckoning me to join them. Desperation took hold. I grabbed a knife from my pack, brandishing it towards the faces. "Stay back," I shouted, my voice trembling. The faces didn't move, their vacant eyes fixed on me. Summoning every ounce of courage, I lunged forward, slashing at the air. The faces blinked out of existence as if they had never been there. I collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath, my mind racing to make sense of what I had just witnessed. Morning came, and with it, a sense of false security. My friends found me outside my tent, exhausted and incoherent. We packed up and left, but the image of those faces haunted me. Months later, I discovered an old newspaper article about a group of campers who had gone missing in those very woods years ago. Their bodies were never found, but locals spoke of strange sightings and eerie whispers. As I read the article, a cold realization washed over me. Those faces were the lost souls of the missing campers, trapped between worlds, forever searching for release. And now, they had seen me. Story 2. The Silent Watcher. Camping had always been my escape, a chance to recharge in nature's embrace. This time, I ventured deep into the woods with a couple of friends, seeking isolation and adventure. The first 2 days were perfect hiking, fishing, and sharing stories by the campfire. But everything changed on the third night. It started with a chill, a sudden drop in temperature that made the hair on my arms stand on end. I pulled my jacket tighter, moving closer to the fire. That's when I noticed her, a small, ghostly figure standing at the edge of our campsite, just beyond the fire's light. She looked like a child, no older than 8, with long, dark hair obscuring her face. "Did you guys see that?" I whispered to my friends, my voice shaky. "See what?" Mike replied, glancing around. There, by the trees, I pointed, but the figure had vanished. They shrugged it off as a trick of the light or my imagination, but I knew what I saw. That night's sleep was elusive. Every rustle, every creak of the forest set my nerves on edge. Around midnight, I woke to the feeling of being watched. My heart pounded as I scanned the tent. Then I heard it, a faint, melodic humming, like a lullaby. I unzipped the tent cautiously and peered out. She was there again, closer this time, her pale face partially visible. Her eyes were hollow, dark voids that seemed to swallow the light. She raised a hand and pointed to a spot near the fire, then disappeared into the shadows. Terrified but compelled, I grabbed my flashlight and walked to where she pointed. The ground felt different, softer. I knelt and brushed away the leaves, revealing a patch of disturbed earth. My hands trembled as I dug, the soil cold and damp. A few inches down, my fingers scraped something hard. I pulled out a small, weathered box. Inside were old photographs and trinkets, remnants of a lifelong past. The one photo stood out, a family portrait with the little girl. On the back, a date and a name, Emily, 1978. The next morning I showed my friends the box. Mike paled, recognizing the name. "Emily went missing here years ago," he said. "They never found her body." A chill ran through me. That night, as we packed up, I glanced back at the forest edge. Emily stood there, watching us with her empty eyes, her hand still pointing. We never spoke of that trip again, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Emily wasn't pointing to the box, she was pointing to where she wanted us to dig deeper. The thought haunts me to this day. Story 3. The Bloody Diary. Camping in the deep woods had always been my favorite escape, a place where the pressures of modern life couldn't reach me. This trip, however, would shatter my love for the wilderness forever. It began innocuously enough. My friends and I had set up camp near a serene, crystal-clear lake. The first 2 days were blissful, filled with laughter, fishing, and the comforting crackle of the campfire. But on the third day, as I wandered deeper into the forest, I stumbled upon something that sent a shiver down my spine, an old, leather-bound diary, half buried in the underbrush. Curiosity got the better of me, and I brushed off the dirt, flipping it open. The first few pages were filled with mundane entries about a group of campers, much like us, enjoying their time in the woods. But as I read on, the tone grew darker. The author, a man named John, described strange occurrences, whispers in the night, shadows moving just out of sight, and a growing sense of dread among his group. I read with growing unease, my surroundings forgotten, as John's entries became frantic. He wrote about waking up to find his friends missing, about following trails of blood that led him to a gruesome discovery: his friends' mutilated bodies, arranged in a grotesque circle, their eyes open and staring. The final entry was the most chilling. Written in what appeared to be John's own blood, it simply read, "They're coming for me. God help anyone who finds this diary." I slammed the diary shut, my heart racing. Suddenly the woods around me felt claustrophobic, the towering trees pressing in. I sprinted back to our campsite, my mind racing with John's horrific descriptions. When I arrived, I found my friends laughing, oblivious to the dark history I had just uncovered. I told them about the diary, but they dismissed it as an elaborate prank, a way to scare them. That night, sleep was impossible. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent my heart into overdrive. Around midnight, I heard it, a soft, almost inaudible whispering, just outside my tent. I held my breath, straining to listen, and realized the whispers were saying my name. Terrified, I grabbed the diary and my flashlight, unzipping the tent as quietly as possible. The moment I stepped outside, the whispers stopped. I shone my flashlight around, but there was nothing, just the silent, empty woods. The next morning, I decided we had to leave. As we packed up, I flipped to the last page of the diary one more time. Beneath John's final entry, new words had appeared, written in fresh blood: "You're next." I dropped the diary, my blood running cold. We left in a hurry, but the memory of those words haunts me. I can't shake the feeling that whatever came for John is still out there, waiting, and I know it will come for me too. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.